provide comfort, connection, and a sense of common purpose.
Join us for the second of 2 episodes featuring comforting conversations. Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Listen to Philosophy Talk today at noon on KSJE 90.9 FM, Farmington. KSJE is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, here to meet your urgent and emergent medical needs, whether they are COVID-19 related or not. Medical emergencies happen when you least expect them, whether it's a stroke, heart attack, illness, or injury. San Juan Regional Medical Center's caregivers are here to provide care to you and your loved ones. Find out more online at sanjuanregional.com. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday morning, May the 26th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Micklin. Thanks for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM over the air in San Juan County, of course, 103.3 FM in the Durango, Colorado area, and you can listen everywhere by going to our website, ksje.com. Welcome also to our viewers who are joining us live this morning, watching the video stream, this visual radio program on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We're glad that you are with us, everyone. Our topic today is Bloomfield School. Superintendent Dr. Kim Mizell is going to be joining me here in the next few moments, so stay tuned for that. That's coming up here the next few minutes right here on KSJE. And then it's Tuesday, of course, and that means a weekly check-in with Amber Francisco at the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter later on this hour at 8:50 a.m. Amber will be talking about some of the pets available for adoption, still doing adoptions by appointment only at the shelter. She'll be talking with us about some of the animals available, including the one on the screen right now. That's Lucy, who is still looking for her forever home from the Farmington Regional Animal Shelter. So join us at 8:50 a.m. Coming up today at 9 a.m., of course, it's our local information program about the coronavirus in our community. Aztec Mayor Victor Stover is going to be joining myself and Megan Cullop, talking about how Aztec is responding. That and more coming up today at 9 a.m. right here on KSJE's YouTube channel and Facebook page. And, of course, you can hear this program rebroadcast on the radio this afternoon at 5:06 on KSJE 90.9, 103.3, and, of course, KSJE.com. On the radio at 9, Mick Hess, Roving with the Arts. That hasn't changed at all. Our classical music program, weekday mornings at 9. Mick is playing Bach cantatas for us on Tuesdays, and today he's got 3 of them in the program. Bach cantata number 135, 136, and 137 coming up on KSJE Today Radio at 9:06 a.m. Don't forget, of course, in addition to Facebook and YouTube, we invite you to connect with us on Twitter and on Instagram. And here's the weather forecast. Get ready for some hotter weather this week. Today, mostly sunny skies with a high of 82 degrees and clear overnight with a low of 47. It's going to be sunny and warmer tomorrow with a high of 88 and a low of 54. 91, mostly sunny skies on Thursday and a low of 60 degrees. 92 for a high on Friday with mostly sunny skies and an overnight low of 61. For the weekend, maybe some scattered showers with highs again near 90 and overnight lows near 60 degrees. Well, let me turn to my guest who is here with us this morning via Zoom from her offices at Bloomfield Schools, Dr. Kim Mizell, Superintendent. Good morning, Dr. Mizell. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
Thank you for being with us. And, of course, we are at the end of the school year, which has certainly been a unique school year for you, for your staff, for your students, for everybody in the world, I must say, because of this whole pandemic. Can you give us an update on how your staff and your students have done with the 2019-2020 school year?
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised in the participation of the families and the students with our continuous learning plans that we have. They were coming in. We distributed our plans through Farmers Market.
Right.
Because we figured everyone had to go to the grocery store and they could come in and get them. So we were producing about 200 packets per grade level, and that's about as how many students we have per grade level. So they were taking advantage of the learning opportunity there. We also provided the same lessons online if you had connectivity and internet and had the technology to support learning online. We conducted surveys, and about 75% of our parents had, or families had, some form of way to connect online via a cell phone, computer. But one thing that we failed to ask is if they had a printer. So they wanted that hard copy. So they went ahead, we started producing more of that early on, and so that they could come in and get the activities for their kids to do.
Sure.
In Bloomfield, we were in a good place because we had pretty much pushed real hard through the first 3 quarters. And so the students had received the content standards they needed for by grade level. And so most of the packets were review type oriented activities for the students in areas that maybe they didn't score as high as we would like, and we wanted to provide better support. So that was a good thing. Right now, we're in the process of planning for new learning, possibly at the first of school. So that went well. The staff, I think my student nutrition people, they've gone without a spring break and worked the entire time. I think they're kind of tired.
Right.
We just hired on 10 people to help with the distribution of lunches all summer, just like we've done through the school year. So that means the school buses will be going out to Nageezi and delivering out there all summer. So we're pleased that we are able to do that for the summer months.
And that's going to be, you mentioned Nageezi, but that's district-wide, correct? You're going to be continuing that program, right?
District-wide, all over. They will be distributing those lunches just like they did during the school year.
All those bus stops that you had made into meal stops are going to continue.
Yes.
Very good. And again, I think a lot of folks maybe who aren't involved directly with the schools forget just how quick of a turnaround this was for your district and really all the others, at least in New Mexico. It really was the week of spring break that instead of taking a break, I know even here at San Juan College, everybody moved classes online, and we started thinking about ways to get information out, as you're saying, to your parents, to your students, and all that happened in really a week's time. There wasn't much more time than that, was there?
No, we went ahead and allowed ourselves another week because we had to prep it.
Right.
And our teachers have been amazing. They worked very long hours together and collaborating to get one lesson per grade level. We wanted to have continuity and consistency with our instruction and what was happening. So all the kids received the same lessons. And so that ensured meeting the equity component of instruction for students. So we felt like we did a good job there. They worked real hard. My cabinet, we have been literally on troubleshooting, problem-solving mode since spring break, trying to figure out how we can accomplish what we need to do for the students in our community.
Right. And
so it's been a long haul.
Indeed. And you mentioned finding out that 75% of your families have some type of online access, but for that 25%, that involves some unique problems and challenges too, correct?
Yes, and that's why we had to make sure that we had the packets available
at the grocery store, right? Which I think.
Yes, we couldn't. We were struggling with coordinating getting them delivered on the buses because we just didn't know the actual number of kids out there by grade level who would need what, and our bus drivers were already quite taxed with trying to distribute breakfast and lunch every day.
Right.
So we went with a farmer's market pickup, and they were so sweet to us. They opened up their toilet paper roll because toilet paper was scarce.
Yeah.
And that's where we were able to distribute our packets.
Some of that extra shelf space is what you're saying.
Right.
So there you go. Very good. Well, let me ask you a bit. There's a question from Facebook, which I appreciate. Folks are asking about next year, if any decisions have been made about the next school year, and I think you and the other superintendents are waiting for some guidance from the state public education department about whether to do in person or continue online as things develop over the summer. But is there any news about the next school year?
As of this time, we do not have anything that we've received from the PED. I have reviewed the CDC requirements, and I pulled my team together last week. We came up with 4 plans. One plan is the brick and mortar plan where they come back and we have in measures for mask and cleaning schedules.
Okay.
just a traditional setting. The next setting would be a staggered start for social distancing concerns. So that would be possibly, this isn't set in stone, but possibly by grade level, they come in 1 or 2 days a week, and the rest of the time it's going to be online because we have to do the social distancing in the classrooms, which is pretty much impossible. And then also the transportation variable really impacts how we will conduct business under those scenarios. We can only have maybe at the most 20 students on the buses. So that is going to be a huge undertaking for all of us. We don't have enough buses to do it really. So that's why we would have to stagger the grade levels. And so it could be as we're going to try to hold true to getting kindergarten through third grade to school as much as possible, because we have to definitely get them reading and help them to understand math concepts. We may be doing the staggered schedule from fourth through high school. And so that will look very differently. So I have the principals looking at what that might look like for their schools. We will be providing breakfast and lunch in the classroom so that we don't congregate over 100 students, and thinking of how we can manage all of this once school starts. We also took a survey to see how many parents were going to feel comfortable sending their students to school. And we had about 75 families say, 75 students total, say that they were not planning on sending their students back to school. So we are going to provide access to a program called Edgenuity, which is very strenuous, and it has a lot of parent expectation and support. We documented that in our survey, that there will be attendance taken. They have to stay on a schedule for the day to complete all the coursework. So it's going to be a lot more work for the families if they choose to not send their students to school. And then the final phase that we talked about, which is D, is we will not be returning to school. And we have taken advantage of this time right now to prep the entire first quarter of school for online learning and packets, the same scenario that we had before. We are going to take advantage of some of the CARES Act funds this summer, where we've put together a team of technologically advanced teachers that will prep this material to make it more engaging and friendly, and add in some links and support for learning online. And so we're going to refine that. We're also pulling in special ed teachers to support the modifications that will have to happen based on standards. So we're thinking ahead. We've already started planning for next year. We have a contingency plan A, B, C, and D at this point. So for whatever scenario we're having to live, we have a plan.
Right. And so you are waiting again for probably direction from the public education department. Any idea when that might come? Are they hoping to maybe make some decisions by midsummer, do you think, or is it hard to say?
Well, they're starting to make some decisions right now. Normally we would have extended school year or K-5 plus programs going. They've canceled those. So we will not be having those this year. And that was for elementary, which is kind of disappointing because I know that the kids haven't been in school and then they would have taken advantage of that opportunity for like a summer school scenario. So they're canceling programs like that. And that was, I think maybe K-5 Plus is $60 million to the state. And so they're kind of pulling back on money based on the deficit that we're going to experience. And they're going to have the special session June 18th, starting the 18th. We were scheduled to possibly start a rebuild of get a new school at Navani. They pulled back those funds, and that was about $35 million. Okay. So they're not moving forward with any new construction, new plans. They're trying to get large sums of money to support education so that we don't we can open the doors. They're trying to make sure that we're not cut with our SEG, which is our unit value. But I don't know that they're going to be able to accomplish that under the circumstances. So it's going to be an interesting period of time. We'll be scrambling, I'm sure, if we do get cuts. But we have a contingency plan there. I'm a a big proponent of planning.
Right.
So I always have multiple plans, if then what if,
Right.
kind of thing. So
Which is what you need these
we're
days.
in a good place, and I feel good about where we're at with our budgets, and but we can't stand too many cuts, basically. So we'll have to deal with that when the time comes, I guess.
Sure. My guest this morning, Dr. Kim Mizell, is here. She is Superintendent of Schools from the Bloomfield School District. And of course, the state legislature will be meeting in special session next month in June to deal with some of the budget shortfalls and things like that are already in place from the budget that was passed just a few months ago. And I think, Dr. Mizell, that's what you're talking about, right? These potential cuts that could come from this special session as the lawmakers work on kind of working those numbers now, knowing that we have less revenue and things that are certainly a little bit up in the air. We're getting, of course, I guess the big question, too, on everyone's mind is graduation for Bloomfield schools. We've seen some virtual graduations from some other districts, and you have asked your students and families what they would like to do, and what's the plans for graduation for Bloomfield seniors?
Well, first of all, I just would like the community to know I want to do what they would like. I've really struggled with making this decision. I kept holding out thinking the restrictions would be lifted, and they haven't in our state, and especially in San Juan County. And so I just decided, because we had originally thought we would do a virtual graduation, and we kind of got a little bit beat up on Facebook about that. We do pay attention to what's being said out there. And so the community felt like they didn't have a say in that situation. So I went ahead and conducted a survey, and that provided us with about 51% of our community, high school. We had seniors, parents, and community members. Those are the people that we were interested in. And 51% of them would like us to hold out for a traditional graduation. And that traditional graduation might be modified. Like, I don't know if anyone saw the Air Force Academy graduation where they're 6 feet apart. And we gave the seniors 2 tickets for parents to come, and we'll have to sit the parents 6 feet apart. So I'm hopeful as of June 1st that up in San Juan County, we'll be in phase 1, the 6 feet apart scenario, and we will conduct our modified traditional graduation June 4th, if that happens.
Okay.
If not, we'll be waiting until it gets lifted, and we will have it once the restrictions are lifted.
But even with that 6 foot distance, Dr. Mizell, that would include then your seniors being able to walk across the stage and get their diploma and
Yes.
and all the other traditional graduation.
No more than 5 people on the stage at a time.
But that would be what you're planning and what you're hoping to have. So
yes,
very good. Now, speaking of seniors, I have to always ask you because I know you have a perfect attendance contest, if you will, for your high schools, and you were able to award 2 vehicles, right? Not necessarily to seniors, but you had some perfect attendance winners at the end of the school year, correct?
right. So with the COVID-19 occurring, we took the cutoff as of right before spring break, because the kids, they couldn't attend.
Right.
And actually, they do not recommend having an attendance policy under these circumstances. So I was like, oh my goodness. So I just went ahead and cut it off. We had 21 students eligible, and we conducted a drawing last week, and we gave the 2 vehicles away to 2 young men in our district. It's posted on the website. We had a Ford Focus and a Ford Ranger that were given away, and they were very excited.
We're showing their pictures right now, Dr. Mizell.
Good,
you can't see, but
yeah.
you can see the smiles on their faces, and they're grabbing those keys. Yeah.
One was a junior, and the other one was a sophomore, I believe. So
Okay.
that's the junior will be a senior now. So
Yeah.
he was real excited. So, and I met his family. We just it's neat to give them the opportunity to do that and be successful with perfect attendance. It's a very difficult task under the circumstances, and so I'm really contemplating what I'm going to do next year, because if we're under the same scenario, I don't know that I'm going to have perfect attendance again, because I don't want to encourage anyone to come to school if they're sick.
That's true. Very true. And again, I know you couldn't do this without the support of the business community, and so do you want to give a little shout out to the businesses that help you do this every year?
Yes, we produce a magazine every year, and the businesses take out ads in the magazine. And with that money, I'm able to purchase those vehicles. And also, Zimes Ford always is really wonderful in splitting the cost with us. So we're able, whatever I can come up with, they come up with the difference of a vehicle. Of course, these are slightly used vehicles, but it's better than nothing, and they're in good shape. In fact, the pickup, Zions took it upon themselves to repaint it. It had some damage, and they repainted it for us, which I totally appreciate. And then we had a few minor repairs that we needed to take care of ourselves so that these kids drive away in a workable, well-running vehicle for the rest of their school years, or even off to college. The students last year were going to college, and some of them already had a vehicle, or they were going to choose to sell one for college. So however they choose to use them, that's fine. But it's been a wonderful program. I'm kind of sad that I'm not going to be able to do it next year, but I'll try to think of something else to get them motivated to make sure they're in school.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed that maybe you'll be able to revive it in some form or fashion. So there is that. We had another question off of Facebook, Dr. Mizell, about maybe students that have IEPs, those individual education plans, I believe is the acronym, and the teachers reaching out to those families and helping those students. And maybe some teachers weren't doing that as much as the families would have liked. Is there any guidance that you provide to your staff for?
Well, I know that our teachers have been reaching out to the families, and we conducted 535 IEPs in the last 2 months. So we have addressed their student learning needs, and we've rewritten their IEPs to accommodate for them for next year, getting ready for next year. So we've been very busy trying to make sure we're reaching out to those families. If they haven't been contacted, they can always call our office, and we'll put them in touch with the right person. But we did everything we could possibly do to reach them.
Gotcha. Thank you. And I know in these challenging times, right, if a student has an IEP, it may be even more challenging to stay up on the work and the things that they're expected to do and things like that?
Yes, and that's why we're putting into the summer program where the special ed teachers will be providing modifications to the lessons.
Understood. And briefly, in the minutes we have remaining this morning, Dr. Mizell, I wanted to ask you a bit about English language learners. I'd heard a study and some concerns about with students not being in the classroom and not being in school, and they are learning English. They're having a more difficult time because they're not surrounded by that constant use of English and having to use it when talking with their friends and others in a more social setting, which, of course, these days, we don't have. And so is that a concern to you for your ELL students at Bloomfield schools?
It's always a concern. We really work hard to meet the needs of our students. And so in Bloomfield, we have, first of all, those students would receive 45 minutes of bilingual education every day during the school year. So we also have a software system called Imagine Learning, which provides ELA, which is English, in math, reading and math. And they can get online if they have online access. And continue that through the summer. They have their own passwords, and they can get on and practice their English during the summer months. In Navajo, we do not have an online learning, so a lot of the teachers were probably reaching out to those families as best we could to provide support there. But we're a district-wide bilingual school district, and so we really want to reach our students in the acquisition of English and supporting them in their learning process.
And so for students that are in that situation and maybe not able to speak English as much at home because maybe they're the only ones that speak English, this software can maybe help them even over the summer to keep those English language skills fresh and good for when school resumes in the fall in whatever way that is?
Yes, that would be practice at home. And the program is kind of like a game. So they progress in levels as they move forward in acquiring English. And so it's a wonderful tool for them to use during the summer.
Got you. And so speaking of summer, Dr. Mizell, I know, as you mentioned, the plans are to kind of get ready for whatever scenario you face in the fall. You mentioned the 4 different scenarios that you've already been working on. Is there anything else that you have planned over the summer for you or your staff to get ready for August?
Well, we work year round, so we don't really take time off. So we're always planning for the next year. Some of the work that we're going to be working on is we're going to have a new textbook adoption in math, and so we're going to have to get ready for that. That possibly is some of the money that might get cut during the budget. So one school we have to provide it for is the junior high, because they're transitioning from an older system to a newer process. So one we have to take care of is that school. So we're getting ready for that and the professional development along those lines. And just really trying to, we received about $750,000 in CARES Act money. We're buying thermometers, masks, computers. We set aside about $200,000 for computers. So those families that don't have access, we can help them, support them better in our district. So we're utilizing those funds to at least buy, I think, 750 computers for distribution to support the families. So we're just placing a lot of orders and getting ready for what may come.
Right.
We also have purchased temperature scanners for the entry into school. If a child comes to school with a fever, they will be held in a different area until the parents can come pick them up. We're not going to let them in the building per se. We'll have a staging area for them. Also, we're going to take their temp before they get on the bus. That will be some of the guidance that will be coming out. So we're going to advise parents, do not send them to school if they have a fever, because they will not be allowed in. We're trying to put in measures to protect everybody involved. We're also purchasing a district-wide mask that will have a bobcat on them of some sort to try to maintain wearing a mask if we need to. It's a lot to think of, and all the scenarios that could occur. I'm working together with the local superintendents to brainstorm, and my staff, and we're really trying to put plans together so that we're well equipped to deal with whatever we have to.
Well, I understand, and I know there's a lot of question marks still out there, so it makes sense to me, Dr. Mizell. And it seems, too, that you could certainly plan and maybe be allowed to have face-to-face classes again in the fall, and then maybe mid-year have to go back to online. It's completely feasible if there's a second wave that things could change on a dime mid-year, correct? Or even mid-semester, right?
Yeah, some of the conversations out there right now with superintendents are about changing our calendar, starting earlier and closing during that peak.
I see.
And so I don't know what will come of that, but that's what Texas is doing. They're going to start like the 1st of August and close after Thanksgiving through January, or through the 1st of January, around there. Hoping to maybe control the next wave that could occur.
Right.
But I really think it's a guessing game, but I'm not opposed to that idea. It would also help with our athletics programs. That's something the NMAA came out with rules and requirements just recently about preseason practice and what they will be. I'm going to have a conference call here at 9:00 about that, and we'll be devising a plan for Bloomfield school districts for that.
All right. Well, Dr. Kim Mizell, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Again, the plan for graduation is the more traditional graduation, and you threw out a date earlier that I neglected to write down, but I know it's coming up, right? What is the plan?
Yeah, we're hoping, after the June 1st, if the restrictions are lifted, we will have graduation June 4th.
June 4th, some type of traditional.
Start lifted, we won't be doing it until they're lifted.
Right. So as we say in radio, stay tuned, everyone. And I know you're sharing all that on your district Facebook page And probably the district website will have graduation information about it, obviously, right? It's such a big
Yes.
event.
Also, I need to let everyone know, if you are in need of getting your diploma, like if you're going into the military and you're needing to have everything set, you can request those through the high school and we will get them to you.
Okay, very good. Well, again, Dr. Mizell, thank you. And you mentioned you're working through the summer, but you're not going to be on this program. I'm going to give you the summer off. How's that?
Right. I'm going to enjoy my summer.
Okay.
But not that I don't enjoy talking to you.
I understand what you meant. I do. And I understand, and I appreciate talking to you and enjoy it too. Dr. Kim Mizell, have a great summer. We'll talk to you again in August.
Thank you. You have a good summer as well.
Thank you. You're very welcome. That's Dr. Kim Mizell, Superintendent of Schools with the Bloomfield School District, my guest here on KSJE. I'll be back with more, of course, in just a moment, everyone. The time right now is coming up on 8:39.